All right, let's talk about optimizing pregnancy and the health of the mother and the child. Why? Because it's so much more than taking a prenatal, taking methylfolate instead of folic acid, or making sure your iron levels are sufficient. You know, those are valuable, 100%. In fact, do it. But there's so much more we can control to promote massive health in the mother, the baby, both of those. We can promote massive health. And this isn't just the duration of pregnancy, and the first month of life afterwards. There are things we can do long before pregnancy is even in our thoughts. Long before pregnancy, we get that positive pregnancy test to help our child and help moms. Even when that child is 25 years old, this is still going to be helping them. The seeds we sowed in before we were pregnant. So we can literally create a battlefield in the womb, or we can create a highly functioning building program. And I think we all want the building program, right? And understand when I talk here, perfection is not attainable. You got to remember, we are still humans, Homo sapiens. We exist in a fallen world, but there is plenty of room below perfection, just down a little bit, for us to make significant decisions related to food, to thinking patterns, the medications we're taking, recreational drugs, alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, and more hardcore stuff that we might be using, the amount of muscle we have in our body versus the amount of fat mass that we're carrying around. These can bolster vitality, depending on the decision we make in the mom and the baby. And eating organic food, for instance, that's not highly processed, low processed, like meat, fish, vegetables, fruit, nuts, seeds, whole sprouted grains, say goat products, or A2 dairy products. It really does matter. And I put that organic with the low processed together, unprocessed together, because organic but processed, it's not going to help us that much. It's still going to be loaded with all manner of undesirables. But if you're putting life-giving food into your being, going on the exterior of the grocery store, and it is in the organic category, then the likelihood of having much pesticide residue, herbicide residue, fungicide residue, glyphosate in the human is much, much lower. In fact, most studies show that urinary output of pesticides are significantly lower, if not completely absent, in humans who are eating organic foods versus standard industrialized world food routine. So here's the scenario I want to bring. And I see it often, and I think, man, we can do better. But maybe we don't know better, which is often the case with all the hype around everything these days. I think we can think differently in our approach to procreation. So this is what I hear. I'm going to stop my birth control. I'm going to decrease my alcohol intake. I'm going to start taking a prenatal, and I'm going to get my blood work done, check on my hormones, see where they're at, and then next month or next time I ovulate, I'm going to try and get pregnant. And I'm going to keep trying to, until I get pregnant. Over and over, I hear this story, and it pains me. And this is not because, the woman is stopping birth control. I think it's probably a great idea. It's not because they're decreasing or eliminating their alcohol. I also think that's a great idea. And, sure, it's not because they're taking a prenatal vitamin. Probably a great idea. These are all wonderful decisions for the woman's health, for the baby's health, for life, for family health, marriages, all together. What pains me is that I know the chances of this woman's, pregnancy experience, birthing experience, motherhood, and the life experience of the child she's going to carry, and then mother. It's the likelihood of it being way more challenging, way more complicated than it needs to be, is really, really, really high. And this is because the relationship between lifestyle and nutrient intake and how that manifests in the baby you are creating in your womb and the health of the baby, it's not limited to the month before you get pregnant or what you eat or drink or the medications you take during pregnancy. Those are valuable, and yes, those can cause all kinds of manner of birth defects and everything, but the developing baby doesn't just depend on the nutrients and the diet of the mother. Like, it's not just that the oatmeal she's eating for breakfast or the eggs or whatever. That's not what the baby's living off of. Because this would be really, really dangerous. I mean, the likelihood of a baby making it, or any human being being formed well, if we just lived off of, subsisted off of what the mother's eating during pregnancy, that would be crazy. Because you think about the low appetite, the heartburn, the morning sickness, the nausea, the vomiting, all this, the shrinkage of foods that sound reasonable for a woman to eat, the 20, 50 times that the woman may vomit in a day during pregnancy. If a baby was to try to subsist off that nourishment, there's not a whole lot there. This would lead to literally a baby in the womb from day 1 to 9 months, 40 weeks, literally just being in pure survival mode. There would be no thriving whatsoever if nourishment was only coming from the dietary inputs of the mother. No, this is the deal. The baby is gathering nourishment from stored nutrients and the turnover of the mother's tissues for protein, for fatty acid needs. The baby's going to figure it out. The placenta's going to figure it out. And they're going to take your resources. This turnover of tissue is not just related to the food, the alcohol, the medications, the birth control that was taken last month or today, but over the lifetime of the mother. Isn't that wild to consider? The body composition of the mother and her nutritional status throughout her life are literally the fuel, the resources that a growing baby is gathering to create the nervous system, the heart, the skeletal system, the eyeballs, all of it. I know this sounds crazy, humbling, scary, and like a load of responsibility. But, researchers in pediatric neuroscience and childhood development experts, they often point to the fact that the first 1,000 days of life, say starting at sperm, egg coming together, 1,000 days, that first 1,000 days is the most critical juncture in forming the child's ability to basically develop optimally and perform optimally and live life at their highest capacity. And it really depends on, what has the mom, the dad been doing with their life? What are they passing down? Just like what did our parents pass down to us? And so if our parents didn't pass down the most awesome genes, the most awesome potential, then potentially we could be behind, and we got to accumulate massive health to make sure that our kiddo has the greatest opportunity to thrive and enjoy life and not have to spend their entire life basically trying to get their mental or physical health in order. I mean, perhaps, say your parents or my parents, maybe they were next level in their health. I mean, I want to be that next level parent. But maybe our parents are next level. And so, our potential is crazy high to have healthy kids. And maybe we feel like, our life's been so easy, our health story's been so easy that we don't have to really think about nourishing ourselves. But the deal is, man, you could have wildly vital kiddos if you would nourish yourself. If you would nourish yourself, even though you feel amazing now, nourish yourself. Don't take the shortcuts. Nourish yourself. All right, sorry about preaching. No matter how healthy the generation before us was, if we're using drugs to suppress, say, youthful processes of our body, I would put number 1 on the list would be birth control, especially oral birth control, hormonal birth control. If we're using something that suppresses that youthful spirit, we're creating an opportunity for complications, where there need not be complications. I mean, consider this. Hormone birth control. If you're on hormonal birth control and you get your blood work done, the labs looking at, say, your estrogens, progesterones, they're going to literally show that for a female, you're in a state of menopause. You are menopausal. Isn't that crazy? But yet, it's just everywhere. Birth control, birth control, birth control. The body is fearfully and wonderfully made. And it literally creates miracles out of our slop regularly. But I would suggest, why force it to create a miracle when we can simply live differently? And I hear you. It may not be that simple. You feel like it's not that simple. But it is that simple at the same time. So what goes into our body, it goes into our cells, it turns on genes and turns off genes as well. And these cells, this information, it creates and nourishes the sperm and the egg. And the sperm and the egg come together. What do? They are the building, the first line before we create a human being. So you have power. There are so many factors under your control. And how many of these factors are you actually controlling? How many are you just saying, what will be, will be? Consider this. Do you wish your parents would have taken greater control of their health, of their lifestyle, of their, nutritional inputs, so that you would have had less to deal with, so that your body would respond like that other person's body? And remember, perfection isn't our pursuit. So having a body that is without blemish, that's not what you need to procreate. That's not what you need to have a healthy child. But you can give your child advantages you did not have coming out of the womb by being vigilant, by considering, your food inputs, your lifestyle inputs, your thinking patterns, by taking the reins on your lifestyle and saying, what am I allowing to descend into my body? And is that going to promote, one, my own health? And if it's promoting your own health, guess what? Man, it's going to promote the health of the human being that you're going to create in your womb. And this is for the dad and for the mother. Both, like I talked before, have equal representation and there's equal need for the sperm and the egg to be of highest quality. And for the inputs to have been of highest quality to create a human being that has the greatest opportunity to sidestep so many things that we really shouldn't have to deal with because of having a beginning that was full of nourishment. So consider you have so much capacity to make so many decisions that could vastly change the trajectory of your future child's life. Man, go for it. Go for it. You can do this. All right, I'm Dr. Matt. Let's accumulate health. Let's create crazy opportunity for the next generation that's coming through us to manifest health with ease.